Welcome back. We continue now. Exhibition, Emotions of the Sun. It's set to ignite the senses, spark meaningful conversations as well. With the exhibition showcases photography work of a talented artist who has been making waves in the international art scene. From Of Soul and Joy to Magnum and now the FNB Art Prize. The artist's journey really has been nothing short of remarkable. Photographer Lindokuhle Sobekwa is part of that exhibition, and his first exhibition was held back in 2013, followed by publications of his photographic essay Nyaope in various magazines as well. And he joins us now virtually to chat further about the journey. Lindokuhle, a very, very good morning, and thank you for your time. A hearty congratulations as well.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
I mean, what does it mean for you at this point to have your work in the Emotions of the Sun exhibition that's now showcased in Cape Town this December, of course, following showcases in Milan, New York as well? Those are the capital cities of the world.
Yeah, no, it was such a humbling moment, for me, even to be selected by Click to respond to the Emotions of the Sun, which was very interesting, because here in South Africa, we have one of, the vibrant sun, or, what I call the golden light. So it was such an amazing moment for a photographer to kind of, explore something interesting around the sun. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so let's get into that golden light. I mean, you were ultimately inspired to capture the South African spring for your contribution to the exhibition. So can you imagine spring is renewal, spring is fresh as well. But talk to us about how you encompass that light, our sun, our landscapes, our people, that all influenced your work.
Yeah, definitely. So for me, like I was interested in the idea of the memory I have with the sun. So I specifically went to places that are marked in my memory, that I had kind of special moment with the sun. And at the time when I started this, it was around spring. So, I was exploring around where I grew up in Togoza, and I was exploring the Eastern Cape sun. So yeah, like I was interested in how human and nature were reconnecting. As you all know, in spring, things are starting to be more alive. We see beautiful plants and, trees, jacaranda trees. And, people are also outside. So I was like interested in connecting that to, to this commission. My work is, like my personal work is always kind of, looking at kind of social issues, or sometimes, kind of personal stories of my sister's disappearance. But now, like, this was more, light. I was interested in, now I was looking at something very light, which was about, the beauty and the sun, and exploring my memory from a very light-hearted place, which was quite interesting for me.
Yeah, light is low, Lindokuhle, and obviously the sun has now risen over the horizon, and you're speaking to that creative process when you were shooting this. I wonder, even if we look at your entire journey, how that journey has been from Of Soul and Joy to Magnum, of course, to that FNB Art Prize that we also remember you receiving. How has that also begun to shape your voice as an artist? Also just the perspective as well, given that you've now explored other ranges within yourself.
Yeah, it's been such a humbling journey. I can't believe it's almost 15 years practicing this. Yeah, for me, I think like I always say like my work, all my projects, have informed each other. Like from the early bodies of work I started in high school, which is the project that we are showing behind you, the Nyaope series, to exploring my sister's disappearance in life, and exploring my kind of ancestral roots in the Eastern Cape,
Yes.
and exploring Togoza, where I've grown up, and now like exploring family trees, which is something very new and different, but very exciting, and very, I'm learning so much about my own ancestry. So yeah, I think like all of these, my journey also has informed, how I work as a photographer or as a storyteller. I'm more interested in the kind of title of storytelling, because I look at all my work as an idea of storytelling, because it's not a single photograph. For me, it's how I tell the story with those photographs,
Yeah.
and it's how photograph informs another. Just
Well,
like the family tree, it's yeah, it is a storytelling in a way.
Well, Lindokuhle, to your point, a picture's worth 1,000 words. And yes, it is layered and nuanced. And this is where, obviously take us on that journey where we get to explore the different dimensions and also contribute to your own healing. And when we're looking at your own healing, you're speaking about rootedness, understanding where you come from. What are some of those anecdotes that have now further solidified you in your purpose, in what you're also offering? How do you also envision this to offer hope to the viewers who are experiencing your visuals and your images as well?
Yeah, so I always try for me like with my project to end like even if they are like some of the hardest project, but I want to end it with the most hopeful, ending. And I think like, like even if you're watching a movie and it ends with a hopeful ending, like that creates some sort of, hope and optimism, for the viewer. For me too as well, because like the project of my sister doesn't end about her disappearance and all of that, but also you can see that there's a kind of hopeful ending. There's a grief that is taking place, or even about my ancestral history. There's always, I always try to kind of end my project with a hopeful ending, and I always feel like my project don't they don't actually end, like, they continue for, it's like a lifetime work, because every time I go to these places, things have changed from what they were.
Yes.
And it's interesting because I consider myself, a photographer who's looking at, the time I've lived in, and it's interesting, being considered the so-called born free and looking at South Africa post 94, there's so many things one can explore,
Yeah.
um,
There are
which
ups and
is
downs,
interesting.
there are, victories, there are also challenges as well. But yes, it does come full circle as well when we look at what's been birthed in the ending, and obviously what ends in that renewal as well. And so speaking about how your work is ever evolving and how, the work continues to translate itself as time goes by. I mean, what are some of those upcoming projects or themes that you're still excited to explore next? You've now explored light, and I wonder what else, what's that next chapter then looking like for you?
Yeah, I'm interested in landscape, but
Okay.
like photographing landscape in a triptych form, like where, it's basically, it comes as a set of three or four sometimes, where I'm exploring, the landscape in kind of different sequences, like, um, which is, like photographing landscape, it's the most difficult thing, like, because I always say like landscape changes, and and landscape, you cannot photograph landscape the same way. So I'm interested in exploring, like more especially in the Eastern Cape, it's such an open landscape.
Beautiful.
So, and exploring that landscape in a sequence, and you noticed in all of these three how life change and how certain trees were once small, now they're tall,
Yeah.
roads that you walk in. So, like I'm interested in the landscape that is empty, but you can feel the presence, like
And it's linked to rites
more
of
especially.
passages as well, right? As time goes on, that growth as well. Okay, so we're excited to see what you're going to be exploring and delving. Of course, as soon as you're ready to showcase that work, we'll probably be ready and able to cover that. But Lindokuhle Sobekwa, thank you for your time at this hour, joining us, chatting about Emotions of the Sun exhibition, the evolution of his work, his journey as an artist, as a photographer and storyteller. Well done, and thank you for your time here on the SABC once again. We're going to leave that conversation there and take another ad break, and we're right back after this.